Hello and welcome to Words Matter, where we talk about words and how we abuse them. Today's words are toxic positivity. So here's the thing, I really like this term. When toxic positivity first started popping up a few years ago, I got really excited because I thought maybe the social zeitgeist was starting to develop an immunity to what is actually a very nefarious form of manipulation. However, recently I've noticed that whenever journalists or the news or, just every now and then, it just seems like when people talk about this, they're not getting it. They don't seem to understand what the term means. So let's clear something up right away. Toxic positivity does not mean being too positive. In general, there's nothing wrong with being very optimistic and positive.
Who's ready? I'm ready. Who's ready? I'm ready. Who's ready? I'm ready.
Okay, maybe a little bit. Toxic positivity refers to a hierarchical, institutional, or social pressure to always be positive all the time about everything. And any issues that come up, any problems that come up, well, those are just all because of your bad attitude. Even if you have never heard of the term toxic positivity before, you're familiar with it. This idea lives so deep in our subconscious that some of our most memorable villains wield it as a weapon. For example, there's Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter, a villain who is so despised that when surveyed, many Harry Potter fans say they hate her more than the main villain, Voldemort. She is the living embodiment of toxic positivity. Just watch.
It is the view of the ministry that a theoretical knowledge will be sufficient to get you through your examinations, which, after all, is what school is all about.
And how's theory supposed to prepare us for what's out there?
There is nothing out there, dear. Who do you imagine wants to attack children like yourself?
If Harry Potter's not your thing, perhaps you remember the classic Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Well, Mr. McMurphy, what you're asking is that we change a very carefully worked out schedule.
Well, change never hurt, huh? A little variety.
Well, it's not necessarily true, Mr. McMurphy. You know, some men on the ward take a long, long time to get used to the schedule. Change it now and they might find it very disturbing.
Or maybe my favorite, as featured in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Nurse Ratched in space.
Your pa is strong, my child. Be at peace. In time you will learn I am not your enemy.
Ugh, I feel like I need a shower already. Feeling like you need to be positive all the time will damage your mental health. We all have a full range of emotions, grief, sadness, and these emotions are important and they serve a function. The only way to be positive all the time is by suppressing your natural emotions. Even a person who is a genuinely positive and optimistic person will still feel negative emotions from time to time. People who promote toxic positivity, who put pressure on other people to always be positive all the time, are either usually struggling with their own emotions, and so they want to quell any reminder of them, or they're complete sociopaths who use this as a form of control to manipulate others. Either way, you can be sure that if someone is pressuring you all the time to be positive, they don't have your best interests in mind. Toxic positivity works by leveraging two main predispositions almost all of us have. One is a desire to avoid conflict, and two is a desire to be perceived as a good person. A person who wields toxic positivity as a weapon builds a culture of social control by creating an illusion of false harmony. Everything is fine. Everyone is fine. There's no problem at all. We are all happy and get along. Why is it you want to cause trouble? Next, when someone does finally bring up a problem or an issue, they make it personal. Everything was fine until you started causing issues. No one else is complaining. You need to work on your attitude. Toxic positivity is a cornerstone of corrupt workplaces, toxic institutions, and a primary driver of actual cults. When a person, a brand, or a corporation employs the methods of toxic positivity, you can be sure that they are hiding some kind of deep insecurity or even criminality. Either way, toxic positivity is a way to cover up and hide corruption. Toxic positivity is sadly most effective with many young professionals. As hardworking, overachieving, straight A students go from school to the workforce, they often do so with a naive sense of optimism and a desire to fit in and get positive feedback. This is why tech startups, multi-level marketing companies, and political campaigns are able to exploit young people to work 80-plus hour weeks with very little pay, all with the promise of changing the world and making an impact. The worst part is that when these young people finally get burned out, both physically, mentally, and financially, they will be ejected from these firms with a message that this is their fault and they need to fix their attitude. So that's why I say we need the term toxic positivity. It's a great word. We should use it more often. We should be using it both confidently and correctly. As I said, there's nothing wrong with being a positive person. But when you use positivity as a way to make other people feel bad for having perfectly healthy emotions such as grief or sadness, then you need to ask yourself, am I really being positive or am I just insecure with normal expressions of emotion? And if you use positivity as a way to control and manipulate other people around you, well, then you are a sociopath and you should be called out and exposed. Now, if you will excuse me, I'm going to enjoy a cup of tea and a bout of melancholy while staring out the window, because that's my prerogative and no one can tell me otherwise. Thanks for watching Words Matter, and remember, always try to use words good.